Okay, here we are back in Pokemon Shield, and this time we're going up against Crimson in Game 4 and Game 5 in this video. So if you've seen the past couple weeks, you have seen Games 1, 2, and 3. 1 and 2 are in a video. 3 is on its own because I had to go away all of a sudden. You could probably tell I was playing a little weird there. And yeah, I tried to do the whole live commentary thing with Crimson, but it came out kind of weird, so I figured, you know, I'll just go post-game and I will explain some of my thoughts as we go. So I will stick to my usual opening here of the Raichu Kingdra. Now, if you're wondering, I think Raichu is actually the fastest thing on the field other than Whimsicott. Whimsicott is just a little bit faster than it, but Raichu is so much more deadly. And here is the part where you're going to find out what Raichu's ability is, because that's the one Crimson has not been able to determine until now. So he starts with Heliolisk, and this is not the normal Heliolisk, I should point out. He actually bred a completely different one that needed a specific egg move to try to get Garchomp under control. Now, I am going to be doing the whole fake-out Ice Beam type thing, because that's how I've killed Whimsicott in the past, and it has a Focus Sash. I know that, there's no hiding it, etc., etc. So anyway, there's the Drought. Now, Fake-Out will still deal damage, it just will not flinch. So we get a little bit of chip damage on him. Here comes the Glare to paralyze Kingdra. And as a result, I'm not going to be able to get any mileage on a Swift Swim here. I don't know the finer details on Glare, like what its accuracy is and such, but it still takes solar power damage, so come out to a bit of a start. Now here is something that I didn't know because Volt Switch was not a move when I stopped playing. Now, I thought Crimson actually got to the point where he was no longer playing his turtle like a turtle, but there's the Protect, and you're going to be seeing that quite a bit in the next 4 games. So, Volt Switch does not let you swap out unless you actually connect, which is important because Crimson points this out right here with the whole, the Lightning Rod drawing in the attack and denying it. So that in turn will actually give Raichu a special attack boost, and it doesn't matter who Crimson aims for because, just like Storm Drain, that will pull the attack in. And even though the attack failed, Crimson still has to take the solar power damage. I don't think the life orb damage kicked in there if I wasn't entirely paying attention. So this time I'm doing the Volt Switch since the Protect is not up. And the goal here is to swap in the... right here I make a mistake, I think. We bring in the Gardevoir. So I'm trying to anticipate what he was planning on doing, and I was torn between those two, and I bring in the Gardevoir and actually do manage to grab the Solar Power, which is actually bad because I'll take damage at the end of the turn. So this was a mistake. The correct move is actually bring in the Chandelure because of the Hyper Voice. Hyper Voice outside of Primarina is a normal move, so it'll pass right through Chandelure, no problem. Instead, I have this. So anyway, Torkoal bites the dust, and Crimson has changed his team to try to get better weather control. In the past, taking out the Torkoal would literally be game over for him. Anyway, the Solar Power chips away at both of us. You can see the Heliolisk is half dead. So with the combined Life Orb and Solar Power, it is not going to last long. Anyway, right here I am going to swap in for, I believe it's Chandelure this time, because I can realize I can probably block the Hyper Voice. Kingdra is a lost cause, so I just want to have it bite the dust and hopefully buy a little time. Basically, by trying to swap out a paralyzed Pokemon with such a small amount of HP left, I'd be setting its replacement back instead. So there's the Chandelure. Here comes the Tailwind. Whimsicott is a prankster, so its priority move, or its status moves go off without a hitch. Anyway, right there you can see Chandelure was unaffected. Kingdra goes down. Now, Chandelure, I believe, is speed 80, while Heliolisk is like 115 or something like that, so there's no chance for Chandelure to outspeed it. But I can bring in Raichu, and hopefully you can see that it has taken, it being the Heliolisk, has taken more damage from Life Orb and Sunny Day than anything I've thrown at it, which is really, really weird. So right here I'm doing the Fake Out in hopes of popping the Focus Sash, but Crimson knows what's coming, I assume, so he swaps that out for Incineroar, Now, Incineroar will Intimidate. Fake Out is a physical move, so this is going to lower its power a little bit, but it doesn't really matter. Now, what's a little weird here is I was trying to do the math and figure out what move of Chandelure's is actually best on Incineroar, because they either don't do anything or they're severely reduced. There's another Volt Switch Knight, you didn't know that it pulled it. So I fire off the Flamethrower, and Flamethrower is actually the move I have that will deal the most damage. And the reason for that is I get the Stab, I get the Sunny Day, I have Charcoal, and it's just going to be simply not very effective against the Incineroar compared to Energy Ball and Shadow Ball, which will both be non-effective. Shadow Ball will get the Stab, Energy Ball will not, and Psychic is completely meaningless. So right there I was doing the calculations, I realized, yeah, that's going to be the one I have to use. So I wanted to try to set him up here with a, I don't know if I actually anticipated the attack or not, because I couldn't really deny it, but it still was enough to pop the Focus Sash on Raichu, and Raichu does go down. So right here, Heliolisk is going to die to its ability in the Life Orb, which is one of the reasons why I ignored it. And here comes the Figgy Berry. I was just a little bit off of being able to pop that thing. Had I been able to get like a fire amplification through Flash Fire, it would have died right there. Anyway, Solar Power for the fail. And now that that's out of the way, we can go ahead and bring in, you guessed it, Pelipper. So I was anticipating the Venusaur here, and I want to get the Rain going to deny it its synthesis. Now, in terms of speeds, Venusaur is also speed 80, I believe, while Incineroar is speed 60. I don't know what Pelipper is offhand, I probably should have looked at that. But what I'm getting at is, I am actually able to fire off the Psychic here. And now the reason why Psychic is the better move is because the Rain's going to dampen the fire. So it'll still be super effective, but let's see. Both are going to be super effective, but the other one will get the Stab. Still faster. It should actually tie Chandelure for speed unless it's a speed nature. I don't actually know that. In which case they'll take different Tailwind, that's what it's doing. So yeah, Chandelure goes down, and the Venusaur is running wide legs now. If you notice, the Life Orb moved from Venusaur to Heliolisk. And that boosts the Sleep Powder, I believe, from 80% accuracy to 88. So it's not perfect by any means, but it's still a large leap in the right direction. Now, the Tailwind has petered out, and I don't know what Gardevoir's speed is offhand, but it should be more than enough. Now, the Intimidate does really hurt the Incineroar by lowering its attack power. Had I been able to put that out before the Chandelure, this would have been a different story, but hey. Now, the important thing is I am getting the Stab super effective, and since Venusaur has... its IVs are in Special Attack and Speed, I want to say, as a result, it doesn't have the bulk to withstand the Psychic. So with this, Venusaur is now a thing of the past. Meanwhile, Darkest Lariat goes off. It's actually going to be neutral because Fairy resists, but Psychic is weak. But the important thing is Pelipper is still asleep. This is turn 2, I believe. I actually had to look up sleep rules to figure out what the odds of this were, and I will tell you that Crimson is relying very heavily on RNG in these fights. So anyway, we are going to go ahead and kick off the Dynamax because I want to get the Sandstorm going to finish off the Whimsicott in the event my, what's it called, Rockfall, I think? Rockfall doesn't do it because it still has the Focus Sash, don't forget, we have to pop that thing. So I'm down to my last 2, Crimson has 3, he still has Charizard in his pocket. And as you can see, he has made some adaptations. As for what exactly, I don't know if you'll see it in this game, just know that the next game is kind of punishing. It gets really weird, I'll put it that way. So out comes the Tailwind to try to renew everything. That will give Charizard the speed advantage because I believe Tailwind is a 50% boost to your speed. That's the only way that the Incineroar can be faster than the Chandelure. Even if I were to run a speed nature on Chandelure, that just put it at 88, it falls short of the 90 required. And I don't actually know what Incineroar's nature is, but right there it's using the attack debuff. And Crimson is very much relying on trying to lower the attack power of Garchomp, which... yeah, you'll see how that works out. So he does come out just in time to eat the Sandstorm damage. I want to say that it's about the... maybe it's only a 16, maybe he would have taken more damage from the Sun. But I know right now Crimson is going to Gigantamax the Charizard, so we're going to get the Rockfall in place on him, and then we're going to follow up with a Scald. Now, it's been 3 turns, so no matter what, Pelipper is waking up here. I actually went for the Tailwind move. Now, in case you're wondering what changes the Whimsicott has received, we actually know its entire moveset now. So it has Tailwind, Dazzling Gleam. You'll find out the fourth move in the next game, I believe, which is, I'll spoil it, it's U-turn. But the third move is Sunny Day. So once again, due to Prankster, that will get priority. It gets to go immediately instead of having to wait its proper turn, even though I think it still is the fastest thing out here anyway. Then turn will give the Solar Power over to Crimson, 50% special attack boost, and you can see that it's not even enough to cut through half of Garchomp. Now the bad news is that does lower my attack power, so I'm at attack -2. Pelipper takes a 2, but Pelipper only has a special attack. It's in the arsenal. So with this, the Sand picks back up, and it's kind of important here because while Crimson's going to take less damage than the Sunny Day would have done, here we go. You can see Whimsicott get chipped away a little bit more. And the whole goal here is to make sure that Whimsicott falls low enough for Pelipper to pick off. So with my Tailwind, I'm actually faster than Charizard, and we can go ahead and guarantee the kill on it, and then I want to pick off the Whimsicott before it gets lucky with any sort of Dazzling Gleam cheese. So there was literally no way for Charizard to get out of this. The only reason why I actually did double up was in the event he tried to switch back to Incineroar, because I believe the third debuff Garchomp would have been enough to keep Incineroar alive. So, just a little bit of insurance. What I didn't realize was that Garchomp's actually faster than Whimsicott with the Tailwind. Well, you know. Anyway, it goes down to Scald, and with that, or it goes down to the Sandstorm, but Scald was enough to knock it down. And with this, Crimson has one guy left. And while Garchomp is going to be an attack -3 when this Incineroar does hit the field, with Pelipper support, there's no doubt I've got this in my pocket. So at this point it's more of a formality, but hey, he wants to play it, who am I to judge? And you can see a -3 attack Earthquake. So right there, if you want to see it, I also have a -1 special attack because of the party shot, but it doesn't really matter. Everything on Garchomp is physical. Now, with Tailwind on my side, he's not faster, not by any stretch of the imagination. He'll use Fake Out as a priority move, he'll take some rough skin damage in return, and yeah, it really didn't matter because whichever one hit was going to kill him. He might have been able to withstand the Earthquake, actually, but... So ironically, now that I think about it, his better move actually would have been to Fake Out the Pelipper. Go figure, right? So anyway, that is Game 4 in my pocket. Currently, Crimson is 0 for 4. But will Game 5 be different? I already told you this one's going to be a train wreck of sorts. By the way, if you notice, I have this set to the Wild Pokemon theme. That way, we don't have to deal with the whole Marnie copyright crap that hit Game 3. And I'm probably just going to use that one for all future fights, so I don't have to try to mute anything or any of that crap. So right here, we're going to stick to the usual opening until Crimson figures out how to get around it. We'll stick to it. For those of you that pay attention, you can probably see the alternate opening, but I'm going to leave that kind of blanked for Crimson to try to find out if he wants to play more. But yeah, Good question for you guys. How much do you know about this particular type of team comp? And right there is just the stupid pop-up that comes from the recording software. If one more pops up, I'm just gonna restart this. Yeah, I didn't put any effort into my card. Ever. I don't really see the point. It's literally the thing that I start out with, that's why it's using the old costume and everything. And anyway, Torkoal Venusaur. So the sun's going to hit on turn 1, and it is going to immediately proc Synthesis, so Venusaur technically has 160 speed here. There's nothing either of us have that can outspeed that sucker. So I want to nip the flower in the bud, literally. Except I know Crimson's going to swap it out. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and queue out the Fake Out. That way, in the event it stays, there's no Sleep Powder, and if it does, it's going to take some Fake Out damage, and then it's going to get the Dragon Pulse in the face. So right here we have to wait for him to choose his moves, basically who's going to swap the Venusaur out for. And it's Incineroar. So sadly, the Ice is not very effective on it. The Intimidate, once again, is going to weaken the Fake Out damage, but it's nothing to write home about. Out comes Protect. Turtle being a turtle and all that. And there's the Dragon Pulse. So that is a stab Dragon Pulse. A little disappointed that I really do wish it actually did more, but hey. So right here, I know he's going to Fake Out the Kingdra, so I want to take advantage of that. Fake Out is a normal type move, so by putting in our Ghost, guess what? It does nothing! And here comes the Volt Switch. Now, who am I going to swap in, you ask? Good question. There's one Pokemon that really fits the bill here. Oh, Gamnita's Berry. And that Pokemon is, you guessed it, Kingdra. So yeah, we literally swapped it out, and we're just swapping it back in because I didn't want to take any damage. So ultimately the Fake Out still accomplished what it would have liked to, it's just he didn't get to deal the little bit of damage. So the Solar Beam does get fired off, but it goes into Chandelure. This is so bad, man. So I don't remember if Ghost resists Grass or not, but it just did 33 damage. Oh man, poor Crimson. So realistically, I should have expected him to use... Did I actually predict it here? Let's see, I don't remember what I did. Right, I did the Scald because I'm going to swap out to Pelipper. That way we'll take control of the weather. We'll get rid of the water damage reduction thing. And right here, I'm predicting him to use Protect on Torkoal, so I'm just going to ignore it. Out comes the Drizzle, brings on the rain. Protect, who knew? Now, Kingdra, if you haven't been able to tell, I'm going to go ahead and say it, even though it hasn't overtly popped up, you can just tell if you pay attention to the numbers. Kingdra is a swift swimmer. So its 85 base speed doubles to 170, and this is as long as rain's out there, and neither of us have anything that can actually pass that on its own. So Kingdra can be the fastest thing on the field, but it does require the rain. Now comes the Heliolisk. And since I have the rain control, I am more than happy to Scald it. Now the thing is, I'm strongly suspecting it to use an electric move on Pelipper on account of having the 4x weakness, so I want Raichu to jump in with the Lightning Rod and pull the attack in. So he pulls Torkoal back to try to get weather control, and he sends in Venusaur of all things. Surprising, right? So here comes the Scald. Like I said, I'm faster. Use Volt Switch, which is actually a good thing for him. Now, if you're wondering why that is, had that connected, he would have died to the Life Orb. So right here I'm torn between the two, and I'm thinking, Hurricane 70%, I'm pretty far ahead. I could, like, even though he's going to swap in the Torkoal for the Heliolisk, I think I can still get it to connect. Now the trick to this is, the Torkoal coming in will mean that Venusaur is going to be the fastest. I lose my speed boost, he gets his. So I really do need that fake out in order to not take damage here, or even worse, possibly fall asleep. So we want to do the fake out. That's priority, it ignores all the speed stuff. Venusaur flinches, and the Hurricane misses. So I would have been better off just firing off the Ice Beam. So right here we need to swap Raichu out for the Pelipper. Since Venusaur will be faster than Raichu, I have to do a recall this way instead of Volt switching out. And like I said, this is going to cause everything to shift once again. We will actually have the Kingdra pass the Venusaur in terms of speed. And this is what Crimson started moaning about when he was talking about Weather Wars. So Torkoal protects itself, yada yada, out comes the Ice Beam. And it's not enough. Had I used the Hurricane, I think that would have done it, but he tried to use Earth Power on Raichu and Flying type, yada yada, and missed. So right here I'm wondering if he's going to swap out the Venusaur, I'm not entirely sure, but I want to get the Tailwind going so we're in position for when Whimsicott enters the fray. And personally, in Crimson's place, I would definitely say sack the Venusaur. There's nothing that can be done with that thing anymore. He plays it as a special sweeper, so it's not going to have Synthesis or anything to try to get back into the game. It's toast. So I think right here he was choosing who to swap the Torkoal out for. Nope. Torkoal sits. Ah, right, he does the Will-O-Wisp. So he got rid of one of his fire moves on the Torkoal to add in Will-O-Wisp to try to burn Garchomp and reduce its damage output. I think in the next game you'll actually see how that pans out. I'm not going to drop any spoilers for it, but Tailwind is a go. Will-O-Wisp fails because I think it's like 80% accurate. And yeah, out comes Whimsicott. Since I have no respect for Torkoal whatsoever, I fire off the Ice Beam there, and I want to launch a Scald at it to try to pop the Focus Sash. So my goal here is to try to one-round the Whimsicott. Unless he does a priority Sunny Day, Kingdra is going to be the fastest thing on the field, in which case we'll proc the Focus Sash, Focus Band, I don't know which one he has. But there you go. Now, since we know Whimsicott is a Grass Fairy, I'll have the Ice Beam going to take advantage of the grass, and since it's really squishy anyway, the Ice Beam is more than enough to take down 1 HP. So the crit thing appears here, which doesn't make a lot of sense for me, because it's still going to do the exact same. We've seen in the past that Ice Beam is more than enough to reduce it to 1 HP with that Sash in. So, I don't know. Anyway, with the Scald hitting, that is the end of Whimsicott. And out comes the Solar Beam. Now the good news is, at this point, Kingdra has lost so much health due to the Life Orb that the Solar Beam leaves them no damage. So we're going to bring in Raichu to fake out whoever he sends in. And it's Heliolisk. So keep in mind it would die to the sunlight, but hey, free turn, fake out. And we'll go ahead and get the rain going again. At this point, really, the rain is completely meaningless. I'm doing this more to be annoying. The only time I really have to worry about the weather is when Venusaur is on the field. To put into context for you, in the previous game that you saw in this video, I completely ignored the Heliolisk. That is an option for me because the sun works against it. It works against Charizard too. Venusaur is the only one who actually truly benefits. Anyway, here comes the Heat Wave. Sadly, this is going to cause Pelipper to get burned. So yep, there you go. The burn has finally connected. But anyway, with Heliolisk out, Crimson's down to his final 2. Meanwhile, I have 5 still, I think. So we know the Dynamax is coming. As a result, I want to get the Nuzzle going. And to be a jerk, I want to Scald. And this is the part that I found so surprising. Like, since Pelipper is mainly here for weather control, I don't know the ins and outs of it. I wasn't sure what type of damage to look for coming out of it and so on, so I was thinking it's just going to do a little bit of chip damage, maybe the same as Raichu, maybe a little bit more. Sure. Know it. You'll see. So anyway, there it is. Charizard. Torkoal does Protect, Turtle does Turtle. And I'm faster than it. So we get the Nuzzle in, that will cause it to be paralyzed, and as a result of it, it's now going to be the slowest thing on the field. Now the reason why this is important after the Skull Rocks, yeah, that took off half of Charizard's health. That is insane, man. So he tries to use Airstream a lot more in these games to get the speed advantage over Garchomp. Once that Paralyze connects, that's it. Like, Torkoal is like speed 20, I think? Anyway, right here he found out Raichu's fourth move. And I was being a wise guy with the whole Tailwind thing. I could have just did Scald. It might have actually been enough to finish off Torkoal. So with that, Charizard bites the dust. He's down to his last one. And I could have swapped Pelipper out if I wanted to really shut him out hard. And I will warn you guys that in case you're wondering why I'm about to do why I did what I'm about to do, I let him choose who I send in as my final guy. I'm generous. And he requested Chandelure. So there's nothing he can do to Chandelure, and I really mean that. He can do the crappy Solar Beam that does 33 damage, but Will-O-Wisp and Heat Wave, Chandelure is immune to both of those on account of the Flash Fire. So all he has left is Protect, and at this point he's just stalling to be annoying. So I'm doing the Nuzzle as a bit of a jerk move because it has a chance to interrupt his Protect. I was thinking this thing's probably bulky enough to withstand a little bit of a punishment, but had I just used Thunder immediately, it probably would have been fine. On account of Thunder, I should also add, due to the rain, it has 100% accuracy, that's why I was comfortable using it on Charizard, and that's why the Raichu has it instead of Thunderbolt. So Crimson does rely on the Solar Beam, playing off Sunny Day. I rely on Thunder. So we know he's going to Protect here. There's not really much I can do, so just queue up the moves and get this show on the road. So there you go, everything negated. Tailwind has finally faded out, but it really doesn't matter. So, in case you haven't noticed or you're wondering, Pelipper is holding a Damp Rock, that's why the rain has lasted as long as it has. Otherwise, yes, it would have gone away by now, and I would have had to switch or something to try to deal with the Torkoal. But yeah, that is Game 4, folks. I'm the Hero of Light. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.